Hello YouTube! Finally, after a week, you guys are going to get to see me wrap these header pipes. I know it's been a while. My job's kind of ridiculous right now. Like I've said in other videos, working a lot more hours than I usually do, so it's taken me a while to get this stuff done. But hopefully today I'll get these wrapped and we'll go ahead and get them reinstalled. Our last video, we got all of our hot side painted. In this one, we're going to wrap it. What we're going to be using is this eBay titanium header wrap. Okay, now this is not a how-to video, so what I'm probably going to do is kind of tell you a little bit about what I'm doing, and then you'll probably get the old sped up video trick. So basically, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap these three first pipes here individually. Just a little piece of wrap going from there to there on each one. And then I'm going to do one long piece of wrap going from this pipe all the way back to our flange here. First thing we're going to need to do is figure out how much of this we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around here, and I'm just doing this for demonstrative purposes. I'm just going to wrap this around and see how big a loop I need. I need a loop about that big. Well, what I've done is I've got an old piece of header wrap that I've already cut to that size. So I'm going to use this piece of header wrap to figure how many loops I need, so I can go ahead and cut out pieces to do these individual runners. About 3 loops to do each runner. I'm going to cut out enough for 4 loops, just to give me a little excess to work with. Plus our initial loop, we want that to be like a complete revolution, and then we're going to go to 1/4 inch overlap after that. I think you guys pretty much get what's going on here. We will pull these I'm not sure what you want to call them, these clamps or whatever. We're going to pull them tight, and we'll bend them over and clip them off. I'm trying to keep them on the back side here so I don't have a sharp edge sticking out up here on the top. This one slid down a little further than I like, so I'm probably going to replace it with one up a little higher here. But I'm going to go ahead and get this third tube wrapped, and then we'll do the long piece. The driver's side didn't turn out quite the way I'd hoped. I still got to trim all these. I'm just going to say this. I've wrapped several sets of headers, and I would wrap 3 sets of headers before I would ever do another set of these manifolds. This was just a pain in the ass. The angles are just all crazy. You can see the manifold through it in a few spots, but oh well. Still looks pretty good. Hopefully it'll hold some heat in. Wasn't able to get this for obvious reasons. I actually ended up having to use a whole separate piece right here just because of this angle. I wasn't able to get the wrap to go the direction I wanted. So anyway, there's one manifold. I'm gonna go ahead and do the crossover pipe next because it looks like it may be a little bit easier. The crossover pipe actually turned out pretty nice. I still have to wrap that little piece of pipe right there, but other than that, it's all finished. Got all the pipes wrapped. we're going to go ahead and get them put on. Before we put our turbo hot side back on, I wanted to address a little issue I was having. Issue was with the manifold bolts. Now when I had the headers on, I didn't have any problem, but for some reason when I switched to the manifolds, I had a couple bolts that didn't want to go in, and they were going in kind of crooked. And anyway, I just decided I was going to switch to head studs. I'm not sure if you guys can see this, it's kind of bright and sunny out here, but I wanted to kind of do a little plug for this eBay company. I've actually ordered different bolt kits for LS engines from these guys for a couple years now, and if you can see it, their eBay username is BNS-2000. That's their eBay username, and they sell all kinds of little bolt kits, nuts and bolt kits for LS engines. You know, I've gotten, well, my coil pack bolts, I don't know if you can see those from here, but they came from these guys. On a couple of my buddies' engines, we've gotten intake manifold bolts. It's all stainless steel hardware, but yeah, we're gonna switch out and go with studs for our manifolds instead of just bolts. And I think it was $16 for this kit that came with all the studs and all the nuts. If you're dealing with something high heat like these headers or manifold bolts, I always recommend using a little bit of anti-seize. Even though technically these should not be, you know, having to go in and out. At some point in the future, you may want to take them out, and when you go to take them out, you'll be glad that you use this stuff. Should just thread right in, and you'll take your Allen wrench here. You don't have to kill them, guys. Just snug them up just a little bit, just to make sure they're seated. All right, let's get the other 11 in. We have installed and snugged up all of our manifold studs except for this guy. This is one of the ones we were having trouble with, and I believe I actually cross-threaded it the last time I used it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go in here and get my tap and die set, and we're just going to clean the threads back up in this hole. Now, we had a hell of a time with this guy, and in the end I just couldn't get the threads cleaned up. No matter what I did, it just it did not want to run in straight. The tap didn't want to run in straight. Nothing wanted to run in straight, so I just put it in as far as I can. You know, hopefully that'll be okay, and hopefully we can still get some clamping force on it. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and install our manifolds now. Don't know how long these cheap header gaskets are going to last, but we're going to put them on and see what happens. John's going to be kicking my ass for not going and buying the Rimflex gaskets. We may use them at a later date, but I honestly just don't have the money for them right now. Oh, the irony here. Looks like with that thick gasket on there, I'm actually going to have to turn these studs out some to give me some thread to bite into. Ironically enough, the one that was cross-threaded that I couldn't get the threads in all the way is the only one that is hanging out far enough now for me to actually get a nut on. Don't forget your dipstick tube. Got the passenger side on, we got the driver's side on. Time to do the crossover. I might end up having to enlist the wifey's help on this crossover. I'm going to see if I can get it by myself, but it's usually easier. It's usually easier if I can get somebody to hold one end. Let's see here. That would probably be the best angle to go at. Yeah, with this crossover pipe, it's usually easier if I can get someone to hold the other end up level while I'm tightening the V-band. But actually, looks like it's not going to be an issue this time. one end down. This end is sometimes a little more tricky than the other end. We'll see. Uh-oh, I messed up. Shouldn't have tightened the other end up yet. Well, good thing we put that flex joint in there, huh? Just gotta get it close. That's pretty close. Hopefully our V-band clamp will snug it up the rest of the way. At least that's the idea. We'll know in just a second. Oh yeah, it pulled it right together. We'll just thread our O2 sensors back in. And like I said in an earlier video, guys, this is definitely something that you want to use anti-seize on. So there's the driver's side O2, and here's the passenger side O2. And we'll snug him up too. We've got our O2 harness right there, but I'm not sure if I want to run it up a little further so I can kind of hide this, because you know the engine covers will be on. So I don't know if I want to snake this up underneath the engine cover here and just plug it in where I have it, or like I just said, bring it up further. Take a quick tour of our hot side. There's our passenger side, all wrapped. There's our turbo flange, wastegate flange, crossover pipe. And there's the driver's side. Nice. Something that's really cool about how we did this is, you know, we're going to be putting our factory shroud back on. Our shroud comes up to about right here. And then, you know, we've got the LQ9 engine covers to cover all this up. So you're not going to be able to see the crossover tube. All this intercooler piping here is going to be painted black with truck bed coating. So when everything's put together, oh yeah, and you can't really see the intercooler either. I mean, it's back there, but not very noticeable. I am looking for a 73 or 74 model grill. If any of you guys have one, let me know in the comments below. Doesn't have to be perfect. As a matter of fact, I would prefer that it's not perfect, because this truck's not perfect. The whole idea is it's a sleeper. If I get a 73, 74 grill, you won't be able to see that intercooler back there at all. Even when you pop the hood, the only thing you're going to see is probably the turbo itself and the wastegate. And, you know, again, I'm going to have the turbo blanket over it and everything. I'm going to, you know, I'm trying to make it look, it's going to kind of look like a factory install when I'm done, guys. Because the crossover pipe, everything's going to be covered up with shrouding, and you know, the turbo is just going to be over here, and we're either going to run some piping down to the corner, paint it black, or I've got that that mud shield that came with the STS kit for the filter that we might just paint black and leave up here. Pretty happy with it, guys. I mean, as long as none of these V-bands leak, we're golden here. Okay guys, that's a wrap for today. We got our hot side finally finished. Everything's painted, wrapped on the truck. I'm glad that's finally over with, because honestly that was one of my major obstacles, was, you know, getting the hot side all finished up, and I wanted it to look nice, even though once we're done you really won't be able to see it. Stay tuned, because in the next video, I'm going to be going over a lot of the little odds and ends that most people don't go over in these build videos. You know, things like where we're pulling our oil supply from, changing over the IAT sensor that's built into the MAF to a standalone sensor. That's something that's necessary on these LS engines when you're doing this. Also going to be going over doing the SD tune and converting that over. As a matter of fact, I'll be doing a separate video on that to put in my HP Tuner Tips and Tricks series. Stay tuned for that video. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and take the time now. Click the little subscribe button in the corner there. If you like this video, like it, share it, and I'll see you next time on Bad Luck Garage.